Hey everyone, welcome to a very exciting news breakdown here on Soda Pop. Alright, as always, I'm your host Frozen Stratos, and today we have a lot of news to get through. We took a week off, but the news ended up piling up anyway. So for this, I'm just going to go one take, and if I screw up, it's just gonna be in here, so deal with it. Anyways, we not only have our typical Kamen Rider news to get through this week, we also have some Sentai news to get through, and it's rather extensive. There's a lot of pictures and a little bit of substance here, and we'll be seeing a lot more of it later, but let's dive into what we know about Minipla Gaoking, or rather, not Minipla. We'll get into it. So, this is the Gaoking mecha, and it looks fantastic. Now, do keep in mind the images I will be showing you. These are all CG renders. These are not, you know, the really nice actual in-hand images. But he looks great. And making this figure up are all the animal components, and we also got a look at those as well. They look rather fantastic, very accurate, and this one is huge. Also, you can put them in the carrier formation if you so desire. This also converts into the midway form, which is not like technically like an actual form or anything. This is just pre-transformation, but I believe this is the only time that they're ever going to be able, or that this has ever been done on a toy, question mark? I don't know. I'm not fully up on my Gaoking knowledge, but yeah, these are neat, and they combine into this awesome figure, and it looks great. Something they wanted to emphasize with this figure was, hey, arm articulation. Or waist articulation. I don't know why I said arm, but there's plenty of it. The waist, the legs, the knees, all that stuff, that was never included in the original DX toy, and that's really what they wanted to focus on here. But of course, you still have the elbow stuff, elbow range of motion, shoulders, all that. Also, we got a look at the head and how that works, because we saw earlier that there was an alternate head, and we did not know how that, you know, sort of shook out, if there was a completely different head, or you had to swap out like a panel. Turns out you just have to turn the crown, and there is a roaring face, so that's a really nice feature. And yeah, I don't know, this thing looks pretty awesome. This is a better look at, I guess, the articulation of the legs. It does look like the joints are cut in a bit more of an awkward fashion, but you still get that range of motion there. And it's also got this awesome sword. It is optimized mostly for the sword mode, but it does, you know, still combine with the shark and make an effective tail. And yeah, I don't know. It looks really good in hand, nice and, I guess, you know, proportional. And you could also do whatever this pose is, because they left these pictures in, and I don't know what this is about. Anyway, let's do a little bit of a history lesson, because this Minipla figure is actually something that, I guess, set the standard for current day Minipla. Before, Minipla did not at all attempt to complete everything, but this is one of the first sort of complete lines that they were ever able to do, and that comes all the way down to this figure here because of its modularity, and how it was able to interact with a ton of different things. So they were able to get out of a bunch of different molds. So this inception point here is sort of what cemented the completeness of these lines, and they really wanted to do this figure justice, so much so that they actually asked the original designers of this figure to work on this figure, or on this new figure. And I hesitate to say Super Minipla because, once again, this is not Super Minipla anymore. We will get into it, but they were asked to be on this project. So it's been, what, 20 years? 20 years since they made this figure, and in that time, they've been, you know, iterating and iterating and iterating on Minipla kits to get to this point, and now we're at a new age range, price range, and we can get something this awesome. The legacy here in this figure is phenomenal to me, and I really wanted to highlight that. Anyway, I believe that is it for Gao Ranger. Like I said, this is not Minipla anymore, or Super Minipla anymore. They are doing a bit of a rebrand. We will be learning more very soon. I believe this week, this coming weekend, we'll be learning more information, if not very soon. I forgot to check, but, you know, like I said, this is one take. You already saw me screw up and show off the Zenkaiger stuff. So, let's move on to Zenkaiger, and this is part 1 of the Minipla. Now, these guys are still called Minipla. That's fine. This is not changing. But Super Minipla, that's out the window now. Minipla here, and we gotta look at the very first set. There's not much we don't already know. These guys are split up into 5 different things, and it looks really great. Here, we get a chance to look at the sprues, and they wanted to make sure we knew that these sprues are packed. This is a comparison with one of the sprues from Kira Major. I think this is just, you know, Fire from Kira Major. And they wanted to pack this up with a bunch of parts, so much so that some of the parts even ended up on the outside of the sprue. So this thing is packed, and there's quite a bit of parts count. Altogether, though, they make these figures. They are certainly representations of something. These don't look great, but you know what? They do still have a little bit of accessories and a little bit of articulation to them. They've got, I believe, a swivel in the head, swivels in the arms and elbows. You've got swivels on the feet and in the waist, I believe, if that's what that's pointing to. But the main point of these things is that they do transform. Now, they don't show off the transformation into the big mecha, but they do transform them into their animal modes. And these look better. They look better than the standing up ones. And I don't know, you've got articulation here in the mouths and stuff, so that's really neat. Also, just due to the way that this guy stands, he's gonna need this extra strut here. That doesn't look too good either. But hey, it's fine. We're living. And also, you've got the roleplay Minipla items here that, you know, typically we don't cover here, but I did want to mention that these guys are coming out soon and are compatible with the mech, if you would like to do that. But in terms of the mech, they really only showed us this image and the one I just showed you before. The part 2 for this whole review is going to be coming out this week, so I guess look forward to that. I don't know. Hopefully this will be a better, you know, sort of showing for these figures. Anyway, I believe that is it for Zenkaiger. Let's move on to Kamen Rider, where we have Kamen Rider Lucifer, and he is what I thought was like an obvious remold or repaint of this guy, of Kamen Rider Eden, that we've gotten before in the very first wave of Saber. But it turns out that this guy's parts are not really reused, but like cobbled together from kangaroo shoulders. The silver version of 01, you know the name. It's probably in the comments somebody corrected me on. They use the forearms from this guy, and then the legs from Shark, except it has the fins cut off. So the in-show or the in-movie suit use these legs, but then cut off the shark fins. It also has the feet of the silver dude that we were talking about before, that I definitely know the name of, and if you could, help me in the comment section down below if you know it. It has that guy's feet. And then also the upper thighs here. These are once again kangaroos, but it looks like, oop, the little top stumps there, those are removed in Lucifer. All that to say that even though he is cobbled together of a bunch of other parts, this had to be a complete remold. Or not even a remold, a completely new mold, just because of all the parts that they had that would cobble together to make this were separated between too many different molds, and they just were like, make a new one, it's fine, we'll make a new one, we'll eat the cost. But that's not all this guy comes with, because as impressive as this is, he's gonna need a weapon. Unfortunately, he's got a rock! So this is very interesting. This is a rock that is made for weapons, actually. This was conceived the moment that G-Man saw episode 44 and was like, ooh, I need to make this. And immediately made a prototype of this. This is not the prototype of it, but I think D-Man came by and was like, hey, that looks like a toothbrush or something of that nature, and made a remark about that, and it does look like a toothbrush inside a cup or something. But anyway, like I said, this has been sitting in his drawer. The prototype has been sitting in his drawer since he made it after he watched episode 44, which I assume they watch it way ahead of time. So this was made so far in advance, and he could not wait to bring this to market. When they saw they had an available slot open, he was like, yes, this is it. This is what we're doing. We can also take a look at the components of this thing, because this is actually separated up into 3 parts that are not glued together. So if you would like, you could, display your rubble in multiple ways, in multiple states of disarray. So yeah, that's really neat. I do like the molding here, but to me it does look like someone took a crafting knife and just whacked away at some clay, and then this was the mold they made off of it. Anyway, that's just me thinking about it. But hey, these are really nice rocks. If you would like more, go outside and find some rocks and put it in your display, because you kind of don't need this, but you also do need this, so buy it. Another few things that you do need are accessories, and accessories for your old 01 figures, because why would we be giving Saber any sort of figures in his own action figure toy line? That would be preposterous. That's stupid. So let's take a look at the 01 accessory set that they are putting together for Soto Saber Book 6? I believe this is book 6 or 7. Maybe 7. I'm leaning towards 7 now. We'll figure it out. It's probably right in the description. So yeah, let's take a look at these, because, oh, no wait, this is just another picture of this. Like I said, this is all one take. Hey, we have a closed version of the Zetzmerizer. This is the evil guy's rise, right? You know, the changer, the belt thing, you know it. And also, this is I believe our 3rd belt option piece, because 01, he has his regular belt, and then in another accessory set, he has the closed up version of his belt. We have the Vulcan and Valkyrie gun belt, and then also just the empty belt, and we have once again another closed version of these guys' belts. It looks pretty good, and it also means that you can put this on any of the other bad guys, just because there is no discernible progress key present here. Also, we have wings, and this was something I was not expecting at all. Most of this I was not expecting, but them bringing 01 back to the table brought these wings back, because they were talking about in the initial release of Jin, the pink one, not this red one. In the pink one, they were like, hey, yeah, these wings are kind of small. These are like the real versions of them. These are not the CG versions that you're also seeing in the show. This is just going to be small ones. Eventually, they'll make larger wings. But you know what? They're doing it now. And also, this is just like a completely new backplate. You can switch out the stickers and make them for the regular Jin, not the burning Jin. So that's really neat. Unfortunately, that means you're gonna have to buy 2, but you're probably gonna need an extra one of those belts anyway, so it works out if you buy a second one. Also, this is separated up into 3 different parts, so that means they articulate, and that's really awesome. It turns out these things are far too big for the box to handle. They were talking about separating it into multiple different ways. Eventually we ended up with number 3. And the whole reason this happened is because they would not compromise on like the length of the wings. They really wanted an impressive wingspan with these figures, so obviously they had to break it up. And Mr. S of Mega House, no relation to the other Mr. S, he said, hey, if you're breaking these up anyway, you might as well make it functional, and that's exactly what they did. These are functioning wings. They look really cool, and they do actually peg on the belt instead of the back. And why is that? Well, it turns out that both versions of Jin have 2 very different back pegs, so they could not make one that was compatible with both. That means that, hey, you can actually put this backplate on any figure you would like that is soda related and has a 3mm back peg. It probably won't work as well on Gaim since he actually has a butthole instead of a belt peg, but that's neither here nor there. This looks pretty awesome. Anyway, that's not it for this box of goodies, because we do have a little bit more. It turns out wings aren't the only thing on their mind for Jin. They're also here for Vulcan. Vulcan's form. I don't know if that sentence made sense. One take. Turns out that in the initial release of this figure, we had 2 wings on this guy. And now, they're here to rectify that, because he wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, he was never really shown with 2 wings. And now, he has the one. They decided to correct it with this set. And not only that, he has an option set of wings, like a separate set, a completely different set that is sort of stretched out, like a stretched out version, that is the bracing version of the wings that like impales into the ground, so he can do finishers and stuff. That's really cool. It's also on a ball joint, so it can move around. Also, that's not it, because we have an extended version of the 1000 Jacker. And on top of that, it has, you know, a brand new, I guess, spear portion as well, because you can load in any number of progrise keys into that slot. And I will show you how with a few of these pictures, because, you know, this is a whole nother one. It turns out it is swappable now. That is a part that is swappable. I don't know. That's a really neat way to do it, and I wish they would have done that way in the first place. And I would like to see this more in the future. But it does look really cool. You can give it to any number of these figures. And hey, you can give it to Kamen Rider Lucifer, because he doesn't actually have his weapon. It is in this accessory set, but instead he has some rocks. Anyway, that's not all, because 01 actually gets some brand new feet. So, these are reminiscent of what we've been getting with the Dai Soda releases. We have these foot treads, but this is the first time that instead of, you know, just molding them or molding them and painting them, these are actually molded and stickered, which is strange, because why would you put this on the floor then? It's gonna get scuffed up. I recognize that it is mostly for posing. I get that. But if you want like a complete 01 experience, those are gonna end up on the floor at some point. Also, these are, I believe, completely swapped out feet. Like completely new feet. This is something that Malunis had pointed out to me when we get to the breakdown of all of this. But these are 2 separate feet. So you will just be able to swap them out with the one that you have. Anyway, that's not all, because a kick goes really well with a stand, or not really a stand, you know, the Rising Impact. Oh man, this looks awesome. This thing is huge, by the way. It can also stand on its own, or you can peg it into a display stand, because there are plenty of 3mm ports back there. But yeah, like I said, this is huge. It also had to be broken up between 2 separate things, and that's fine. This makes sense. It's also just a rectangle, but I mean, how difficult was that to break up? Anyway, that is it for this set. This is everything that is coming in this 01 set, and it is rather extensive. I do not think that we will be getting, you know, them saying like next week, oh hey, you know, we showed this off last week, but there is yet another thing that we did not show. No, this is probably it, unless they decide to fit something else in here. I don't know. I think that this is it, because next week we are moving on to something else. But with that said, this is, and stop me if I'm wrong, this is the Shodo Kamen Rider Saber Book 6 and Shodo Kamen Rider 01 and Shodo Kamen Rider Geo versus Decade set. This is the whole name. That is the whole name. There are 2 Saber figures in total. We have not gotten such a strange distribution since the first wave of these figures. And I believe even at that point it was like 2 figures out of the 5, but this is 2 figures out of the 6-ish figures. I can't make this up. This is wild. This is a wild set. Book 6 is last set. The book 5, that was a large name, but this is on a whole other level. Also, if you remember, box 12, that's going to be coming. You can see it with a Shinkenger item, and Shinkenger's logo is going to be on that box. Wild. Anyway, I believe, yes, I believe that's it. I'm done. This has been 21 minutes and 54 seconds so far. That was a lot. Thank you for sitting here with me and taking a look at the news. It was a lot to get through, and this is coming out late. It's getting me a little bit of time to get back into the groove of things, but thank you so much for bearing with me. We will eventually get back to regular news videos and regular podcast episodes. Hoping to get those finished. I don't know. I'm not going to set a date, because every time I do, it ends up breaking the promise. So we'll get there eventually. I promise you. I promise you. We are still recording them. Do not be alarmed. We are still recording them, even though I am building up a scary backlog. We are still recording them. They will get to you eventually, but until then, thank you so much for watching. If you like the episode, hit the like button and subscribe if you want to hear more from us each week. Check the links in the section down below to see the brand new Zenkaiger merch that I designed myself. If you would like to take some, or buy some of this, it would really help out and support the channel. And also, while you're down there, there are links in the description to how you can help support the Black Lives Matter movement by donating money, signing petitions, and watching videos. Thank you so much for watching. Keep it. Oh. I'll catch you next time.